Willow Roberts from I Am a Manifestor Facebook page, but I'm here today to have an enlightened conversation, and I'm just so excited. I've got author Madeleine Walker with me. Now, she is a world-renowned animal communicator. She actually works with horses and riders and helps them with trauma. She's a consultant and a spiritual empowerment coach. Her mission is to raise humankind's awareness to how deep connection is to animals. She travels extensively to work with wild species like lions, elephants, and whales and sharks, just to name a few. She's a pioneer in her techniques with past lives. She is based in the UK. She's written 3 books: An Exchange of Love, Animal Healing People, The Whale Whisperer, Your Pets' Past Lives and How They Connect to You, and many, many meditation CDs, Whale Hearts and Dragon's Flight. That just sounds beautiful. Her new book is going to be released in April, and it's The Unity, the Power of the Animal Kingdom. And she has her new cards coming out in April as well, which are the cards are Guardian of Gaia, Earthkeeper, and that is Whales and Dragons. Is that correct, Madeleine? The new one.
They're going to be out probably next week. They're going to be launched March the 21st for the equinox, so they're going to be out very soon.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Now the animals. Oh my God, aren't you so lucky to work with animals? I mean, I have they have called me the bird woman. I have messages and guides with birds, and people from all different areas of the world give me feathers. But you actually have lovely connection with horses, and you help with their trauma, and the rider to link them back together is that would just be amazing. I'm just in awe of what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me for a chat this morning. Well, sorry, evening probably for you, isn't it? Morning in the UK. But it's a real privilege to be here to chat to you. And so thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, very welcome, very welcome. So I want to talk to you about, I have a couple of questions about animals, but I'll ask you that later. But with the connection with the horse and rider after a trauma, so that's after they've fallen over or there's been some sort of stress with the horse and rider, is in this present life, is that correct?
Yes, it is, but the horses can also flag up the trauma that is also connected maybe to a shared past life.
Oh, really?
So actually a horse taught me an amazing technique to take people and their animals back to a past life trauma, to rewrite it, to rescript it. And this horse just said to me one day, well, can't we just have a happy ending? And I said, well, yes, that would be lovely. How do we do that? And the horse said, I will show you. And it was amazing, and it's a technique I've used again and again. And these animals have taught me really everything I know. I haven't studied, I've done conventional stress management consultancy and counselling and that kind of thing, but the animals have just taught me these amazing techniques. And they keep upgrading me, and it's so exciting to know where they're going to take me next. But very much, it can be a confidence issue. Maybe they've had a bad fall, and the rider's lost confidence, the horse has lost confidence. So it's really working together with them to kind of reunite them, rebalance them emotionally, because I can tune into their physical issues, but it's mainly about the emotions, and it can stem from the rider's childhood issues of confidence, and it could be an old trigger in that respect from childhood, or with school or parents or whatever. So it's going back and really delving into the root cause of it, and then healing it and releasing it. And when you work with the horse knows everything. The horse, I'm just the voice. The horse tells me exactly what their humans need to heal. So it's just wonderful.
Isn't that gorgeous? And it's unconditional love. I love that the animals have unconditional love for us. I absolutely love horses, but I am actually afraid to ride them.
Okay.
So there's something there with me that I know that has happened, obviously, for me to have that. But I can go to my sister's farm and go out the back and pat the horses. I have no trouble with doing that in the back paddock, but I do have a fear of riding them, and I've had that forever. I have tried a couple of times, and I'm just so nervous. I just am useless.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, you know, I'm not so brave riding anymore. I think as you get older, you do see a little bit more of the dangers, but I just love to hang out with them. They're just the most beautiful animals, aren't they? They're just very, very spiritual, beautiful creatures.
Yeah, I love when they look at you and they're looking through to your soul.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is such a beautiful connection, really, really is. It's just, and you know, when we go to visit my sister, the first thing that most of us do is go out in the back paddock. She's got 7 horses out there at the moment, I think, and we just go out to visit them. And she's actually called one of them my mum's name and one of them my dad's name, who's passed over. So we go out the back and have a look at mum and dad running around in the paddock.
Fabulous. You know, there's so many equine assisted therapies starting now, or well, been, you know, available for ages. So, you know, they are incredible healers for us, and they, like you say, they can really reach deep into our souls, and they know exactly what we need to help us heal. And I think one of the main messages from the animal kingdom is about re-empowering us, because we give our power away, and you know, so many of us are coming from a place of fear, and the animals remind us that we need to come from a place of love.
That's right.
If we stand in our true authentic power, then if we work together, then I think we've then got a great future. But it's really, the whole subject about the book Unity is about interspecies unification, coming together to work with the animal kingdoms and the nature realms to really start to help Mother Earth. And then I think humankind has a good chance of going forward.
I've already always had a connection with Earth and nature. Like I said, birds, dragons, and I've had a lovely experience with a dolphin. I was actually walking along the beach. I was living in Queensland, walking along the beach one day, and on my walks on the way there, I would have my little whinge about what I wanted to come in, and on the way back, I'd do my gratitude list. And just about, and I don't get involved in religion or politics vocally, but I was having a bit of a whinge when I think it was Siberia had started, Syria, sorry. Where did that come from? Syria had just exploded, and they were just having the first lot of problems, and I had a bit of a tanty saying, you know, come on, do something about it. The majority of the world wants peace. And all of a sudden, this dolphin popped up in the water, and I just started laughing, and I went, oh, that's peace, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll skip it now. And then I started walking back, and the dolphin sort of followed me. It was the Pumice Passage, and the dolphin actually followed me as I was walking back, and then I got a spot, and I thought I'd like to get a picture of it, and I went to take a photo, and then it just sort of jumped out and jumped in, and all I got was a splash of water. And then it went, and within seconds it was gone, and I went, oh, thank you. So that really was a sign, you know, for me to see that it wasn't going to be as bad as I think they'd made it out to be, although the displaced people and everything that's happened wouldn't call it that bad. But yeah, I feel for them. But that was certainly a personal message for me, and I just loved it. So yeah, it's
a beautiful moment, and they are all about finding our joy. They're all about joy.
Yes.
We call it being dolphinated. It's like you're being vaccinated with joy, and or being infected. Sorry, being infected with dolphin joy, being dolphinated, of which there is no cure. So it's beautiful to be infected by a dolphin.
I would love to be dolphinated every day.
Yes, me too.
So have you? When was the first time that you ever knew that you could talk to animals?
Well, I think it started when I was about 4. My parents were going to take me to a circus the next day, and that night I said to my father, there's going to be an elephant driving a car. And my father said, I don't think so, darling. I don't think there's going to be an elephant driving a car. And I said, yes, there is. There's going to be an elephant driving a car. And so the next day we went to the circus. We got our seats in the big top. And the very first thing that came on was an elephant driving a car. And my father and mother looked at me going, oh my God, who's this very strange child? I said, told you so there'd be an elephant driving a car. And I'd been given this vision so clearly. And my father took a photograph of it, a black and white photograph, obviously back in the day. And I still have the copy of the photograph. And there's photographic evidence of my vision. So I think I always just was obsessed with animals, and I think, you know, over time with school and peer pressure, you kind of put that to one side because people think you're weird. Well, they still think I'm weird, but so you don't kind of go there so much. No, well, that's what's so lovely about chatting to you. But then I was married to a very scientific veterinarian who thinks all this is absolute nonsense, which is why we're not together anymore. But I obviously learned a lot about conventional medicine, and I always could intuit imbalances, especially in horses. But I also had a very good, I think, rapport with the human clients, especially when animals had to pass over. You know, I really felt their pain, and I really prided myself on being supportive to them. Before people had grief counselling for pet loss, it's now much more accepted. But back in those days, it was like, oh, it's only a dog, you know, get another one, and of course that's ridiculous. So then I went to visit my friend's horses, and then it was a really cold day, so we dashed back inside, and she'd just got this little Jack Russell puppy called Sam. And I said, oh, you know, can I have a cuddle? Can I have a cuddle? So he was on his back, and I was just cuddling his little pink tummy. And he looked at me so directly and suddenly started talking to me, which kind of freaked me out a little bit. But the subject matter was what really freaked me out, because he started to talk about how he was a reincarnation of my friend's old dog.
Oh,
and I
right.
thought, what? You know, I was open to human, you know, people reincarnating, but I hadn't really ever considered animals reincarnating, or even that we share many lifetimes together with our animals. I mean, why not? But it hadn't really crossed my mind back then. So I kind of put him down before I dropped him, because I was a bit shocked. And he went and sat next to my friend Lee's big range oven, and his little Jack Russell face started to morph into that of a border collie with very specific spots on the muzzle. And I'm going, what the hell's in this cup of tea? Because I'm hallucinating border collies now. And just as suddenly, it went back to his little Jack Russell face again. So I didn't have the courage to say to my friend, did you used to have a border collie? I just said to her, have you had a dog before? And she said, oh, not for years, you know, why do you ask? And I said, well, Sam's just told me this, and it might sound a bit strange, but he said he's a reincarnation of your old dog, and he's come back to help you through this difficult time. And she was having a very challenging time. So I said to her, well, she said, I used to have a border collie called Briar. I said, have you got a photograph of Briar? And she said, oh, I'll find one for you. And she brought it out, and it was exactly the same spot formation on the muzzle.
Yes.
And so I kind of told her, and she said, well, it doesn't surprise me. He just seems to know me. He knows my every move, my every mood. I've only had him 5 days, but he's just this really old soul in a little Jack Russell puppy's body. And so that was the start of, he really changed my life. And from then on, it's been a completely vertical learning curve, and it's taken me in so many amazing directions and different tangents. And like you say, it's taken me around the world, connecting and communicating with the most amazing wild species. So that little Jack Russell puppy really, really was this huge catalyst for me.
You've given me some hope.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually, no, I'm joking, but I've had border collies before, and I have grandpups at the moment that are border collies. So they're close to my heart. So it was lovely hearing about that. But I had the funniest conversation a couple of months ago. Now, I'm a clairvoyant, medium, psychic, theta healer, Reiki master, but I haven't been trained in talking to animals. But I know I have got a connection with them, and I do hear them a lot, especially dogs. And cats too. But I went to pick up, I was buying something on the for sale Facebook page for this area, and I had to go and pick it up at another suburb. And so I'd never been to this lady's house before. So I went in, we introduced one another, and she said, excuse my little puppy, it was jumping all over me. And she said, he's just a jumper, he just jumps all over you. And I sort of went, oh, okay. And I looked and I said, who's Jasper? And she said, why? And I said, because the dog's talking about Jasper and saying he's scared of Jasper. And I said, do you know who that is? And she said, it's the dog next door. They had They had a play date the other day, and her little pup got scared by Jasper. And so the little pup was running around the house, frantic, jumping, because he knew that Jasper was next door. I said, you need to have another play date so that they can get along, so that settles down, because your puppy's really scared.
Yes.
And I walked out of there thinking, how to win friends and influence people. This lady's
I
probably
know.
thinking,
Well, I thought Lee was going to throw me off the farm because I thought he's going to think I'm such a nutter. So there you go. Brilliant, isn't it? It's wonderful.
yeah, it is. And it doesn't happen for me all the time because I don't practice it, I suppose. Like all things spiritual, the more you practice it, you build the muscle and it gets stronger and stronger. But it's just such a nice connection to everything. And yeah, you go.
No, I was going to say, well, it is, and it has to be, because the animals, you know, our domestic animals are working so hard on a kind of one-to-one basis with us, really working hard to heal us and to re-empower us. And then the wild species are working so hard with the nature realms because they've got their hooves, their fins, their paws, whatever, on the rhythms of the planet.
Yes.
And so I think, you know, it is a beautiful connection, and we have to. Humankind has to start working with Mother Earth, otherwise we have no future. Because then, you know, the animals are, you know, the whales and the dolphins are desperate to dolphinate us. The whales are desperate to show us the way of love. You know, it's like they're providing oceans of love for us. So I feel so blessed that I'm, you know, kind of one of the people that's their voice, you know, to their conduit to share this information, because I feel it's vital. I'm not important, but their message is very important.
True.
So it's a real mission of mine to do the best I can to be their voice for them. You know, so many people are waking up to this fact, but you know, I know that I've got a real mission to keep going and to keep raising awareness. So having chats like this is fantastic. Yeah, you know, it never ceases to amaze me, you know, like that little puppy could talk about Jasper and to flag up that issue. You know, what they can tell us, it's amazing. And I think, you know, we can all do it. I mean, I run courses in animal communication, but the animals that are with us, they're the tutors. I'm just hopefully trying to interpret their message and what they want us to learn that day. But we can all do it, and like you say, you know, you can work that muscle, stretch that muscle, but it's all latent within us. I think it really depends on how far you want to take it. You know, it's just how open you want to be, because, you know, you could just talk about, oh, you know, my dog's favorite food is whatever. But, you know, when you get into the kind of crazy realms that I'm into, it's like, oh, that's a bit of a step up, you know, but it's just going with it, really, running with it.
Isn't it nice though when you look at I don't know, well, I was just stuck on dogs for a minute, but I do want to get to whales with you, and dragons. I love dragons, but getting to the dogs and actually looking at them and seeing them in a past life form. You know, sometimes I have seen them be quite a regal, sort of well-dressed, sort of the attitude. You can actually put them in an era, I suppose, and I've been blessed a couple of times to see that even. Yes. and it's nice to see.
Absolutely. And of course, this might be a little controversial, I'm sure not for you, but for some people, you know, they've shown me that they've been human in past lives, and humans have been animals in past lives, and some people might think, oh, that's a big, you know, backward step to come back as an animal. But actually, my opinion is that actually it's a huge honor to come back as an animal, because they're so in the moment, and they're so, like you say, what better way to learn about unconditional love than to come back as a dog. And what the animals have told me is that, you know, everyone can choose the best physical vehicle for their soul's evolutionary needs. And, you know, if we need to come back as a dog, then there's obviously lessons about unconditional love we need to learn, and we need to know that we have that expanded heart to give even more, you know. So it's just lovely that you can just decide, okay, I think I need to be a horse this time, because there's things I want to learn, things I want to experience, things I want to give, things I want to receive. So it's a kind of magical journey, really. And I don't really believe in punishment or necessarily bad karma. What the animals have taught me is more about, it's just another side of the coin. It's just another experience, really. And I mean, I know we're talking about dogs, but I had a cat that taught me that we could go back to our pre-birth soul agreement, our kind of soul contract meeting with our soul families that we meet before we incarnate each time, and we decide who's going to do what to who, and who's going to be the mummy, who's going to be daddy, and what we're going to do, and all those things. But in this meeting, in that moment of creating the contracts, It's always comes from a place of love. However challenging because you might think, why the hell did I agree to this? But the animals I see are in that meeting too. And this cat taught me that we could go back and write new clauses for our contract. We can write in what we want from now on, so we can change our contracts. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And again, I've been using those techniques with humans for quite a while and having the most amazing results. And again, it's that little cat just said, well, I think you ought to go back and change your contract, don't you? And I went, okay, how do we do that? I was on the phone to this cat's human, actually. She'd had a terrible, terrible life. And first of all, the cat told me that it had the root cause was something that happened back in Atlantis, but then suggested after we healed that we could go back and go back to the soul contract meeting and change things from now on. You now choose to feel safe. You now choose to feel healthy or whatever. And it's an amazing. So that's just a little cat. She sent me a photograph of this little cat, and she's there in a little twin set in pearls. And I thought, oh my God, how can I tell her what this cat's saying about Atlantis and these, alien implants and all kinds of crazy stuff? But she was saying, oh yes, well, I've always been quite interested in Atlantis. And I thought, oh, thank goodness for that. She was totally open to it. However, completely crazy it sounded. But from that one case, it gave me a whole new dimension to help people even further. So it's mind blowing, really.
That's how spirit works. I do theta healing. So we have limitless thoughts, and we can release past life blocks and patterns. And I really have done a lot of work so that on myself, and so it ripples down to the generations that come after me that will have a better life. But when I was telling you the story about the dog that I'd seen with the top hat coming from, he was a person, and so I understand that. And some people are quite that are well-to-do in their lives really come through as a pompous dog it was, and it sort of had all the attributes that person would have had, and it made me smile. But I love the fact that we can learn from all walks of life. With trees. But last year, no, the year before, I was at Avebury, and under the beech trees on the roots, and I'll be back there June this year.
That's amazing. Those trees are incredible, aren't they?
Aren't they? So we've got animals, and we've got trees, and we've got, anything that's basically in the world that we can actually tap into. Dragons is
yes.
I love my dragons. Everybody that I've said to, I have dragons with me, and they've looked at me and gone, yes. And I'm there. Where would you like to be committed? No.
Yes. Where are the men in the white coats?
But I love them, and I always have had one around. But when I actually flew to England in 2015, the connection to the others just slotted in. It was the most amazing thing. Now, I'd never been out of Australia before that, and so I got to England, and then these synchronicities kept unfolding for me. And then I went to Glastonbury, and it was like I'd been there before. It was really odd, and I had some really strange things happen, but my connection to the dragon energy in that trip was just threefold after that. You're so lucky to be living in England, because I really feel like there's pockets of energy where there are different animals, and there are different ways to connect to them. And even though I connected before I left, it was not a strong connection like it was when I was in England. So do you find that with your travels that you go to certain areas and you sort of it's like hitting a glass roof, and then it opens up to a better connection?
Well, yes. I mean, as you say, Glastonbury with the tour dragon, there's a huge dragon energy in Glastonbury tour, and I always kind of feel when I'm on the tour that I can hear his kind of scales rattling as he moves around beneath me and under the ground kind of thing. And so, there's a huge dragon energy there. And we went to the World Dragon Day at Avebury last October. And the day after that, we went to another stone circle called Stanton Drew, which isn't too far away from me either. And we kind of awakened, we did a dragon ceremony there. And then in November, we went to South Africa, and you're talking about glass roofs opening up. It's all the white lion energy there, and we went to Adam's Calendar, which is, I think, the oldest man-made stone circle in the world. It's a huge escarpment in the Drakensberg Mountains, Dragon Mountains, and we did a full moon ceremony there with the dragons, and that was just amazing. But that's a place, I think, that when you're between the two center stones of Adam's Calendar, the energy frequencies there are so powerful, and yeah, it just takes you into all kinds of dimensions. But I think the main thing in South Africa is obviously working with the wildlife there, but it's the white lions, I think, that really call me, and the elephant energies are just off the scale, amazing, beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you've heard about Linda Tucker. She's got an amazing reserve there where she's kind of preserved the only wild pride of the white lions, and there was a huge male lion there called Mandela. He's now in spirit, and I see him as a wonderful winged lion now. But I met him first of all in 2009 in the physical, and he's been a huge driving force behind me. And he comes into me in the strangest places, because I was in Peru and Bolivia actually nearly this time last year, and again the dragon energy is there. We went to a place called Amaru Maru, which is a huge galactic portal site there, and there were all these rock formations, and they just looked like dragon skeletons and dragon kind of spines, and just amazing. And but what's lovely is that they all connect. You know, the whale energies, the dragon energies, the white lion energies, they all come as co-guardians.
Yes.
And Mandela came into me, and I just felt these huge roars bubbling up from inside me. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to start roaring, because I thought if I don't let it out, I'm going to explode. And luckily I was with a group of Dutch people who were like, yeah, whatever, it's fine, it's all cool, you know. So I just started to make these huge roaring sounds, and it was like he was just filling the whole valley. I'm not sure what the inhabitants of the valley felt. Somebody thought there was a wild lion roaring around the place, but it echoed, of course, everywhere. But I just had to let it out, and I also had a beautiful, huge reconnection with a lovely dragon, because I was this Pachamama or Pachamama, people say, the kind of earth goddess that they obviously believe so strongly in Peru and Bolivia, and I love to connect with her. But there's a big she's kind of a deep fuchsia pink dragon called Lancha Mama, who came into me there as well, suddenly just arrived. And again, it was just so mind-blowing, and like you say, it's unexpected, and there's just these, like you say, places that you go, like real hotspots of energy that just kind of, I don't know, just become electrifying, and magic happens. So it's lovely that, you know, you found that in Glastonbury in England, you know, the dragon energy.
Oh, it's
And
beautiful.
also Cornwall has huge, and obviously Wales has the red Welsh dragon as that kind of symbol. But in Cornwall, there's a lot of dragon energy down there, and that's, I think, when I first connected working with my dragon called Graz, who is an aura cleanser, and he comes to help me with working with horses that have got very negative energies or even entities in their auras, and he kind of zaps them, and then we create, working with the horses' higher self, of what kind of aura colors they would like in their new auras, and we kind of knit them new auras, and that can release a lot of fear and anxiety and aggression, all kinds of things that horses can be displaying. When you clear their auras, they can be instantly so calm and much, much happier. And so thanks to Graz, he kind of, you know, he just came to me one day and said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And he can be very, very fierce, or he can be very, very gentle. And so sometimes when I'm with him, I say, look, we don't want napalm today. Can we just have very gentle, cleansing dragon breath? So he said, okay, right. So he's been an amazing ally, a healing ally for many years now. And he was kind of the first one, and then it's kind of escalated, but it's escalated more and more, I think, in the last probably 3 years. I think they're coming in to so many of us now to really, again, help us to really expand and help with the whole ascension process. So it's so lovely to meet a fellow dragon lover, because they're just the most amazing healing allies, healing colleagues, aren't they, really?
Oh, look, it was amazing. I don't know the names of mine. Lucky you that you know them. But I was with a girlfriend one day, and I said to her, I have a new guide, and it's a dragon. And I said, do you want to see him? She said yes. And so playful. And she closed her eyes, and next minute these two big eyes, she said, were in front of her, and scared the crap out of her. And she said, oh, and I just started laughing, and I went, yeah, sorry about that, because they're quite playful as well.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky a few years ago to take a picture. I was out at what we call Liffey Falls, which is waterfalls out in the country. And I took a photo, and it was of the trees. And something guided me when I came back home to blow it up. And I actually had all of my guides in this one picture.
Wow.
So I had an Indian guide, and you can actually see them. It's a black and white photo, and I've blown it up. And I've actually shown people in workshops, and I have an Indian and a wizard that's a little bit Merlinish. But I have this really big bear, really big brown bear. And then a couple of years after that, I actually had a spirit drawing done for me, and the lady was drawing it, and I said, oh, and what is that? And she said, oh, that's a bear. And I said, of course it is. And he's just on my shoulder all the time, and I just know he's there. But I went to Egypt last year, and we were talking about archetypes and trying to see what archetypes, and I've always thought very much into the Hatha side of things. And,
Lovely, yes.
Yeah, I like the Hatha energy, and I've worked with Hatha for a while, but Anubis came in, and I couldn't stop saying his name. And I reckon I said it, I don't know, 100 times a day with this Anubis, and my eyes would light up and everybody would laugh. But I love the fact that their afterlife, and Anubis is there putting his paw on when they weigh the heart to see if you've got a light enough heart to weigh against the feather, and Anubis is there ready to put his paw on it so that it actually weighs out better. Everywhere you go, you pick up a little bit of that area. The white line energy, that I'm a Leo, so...
Me too.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, we've got our mains. I've got our mains.
Well, I've just started to grow mine back. I had mine cut off, and I was standing in the Red Springs, or the White Springs, at Glastonbury, and I heard this voice say, "Where is your hair?" And I just had it chopped off, and I went, I'm growing it again. It was sort of like that. But the lion energy that you talk about, so is that the white line energy different to normal lion's energy? So
well, yeah, I mean, all lions, as far as I'm concerned, are just the most majestic beings. I mean, they call them king of the jungle, but the white lions, the indigenous peoples, the Shangaan and the Zulu, believe that the white lions are the star children. They are children of the sun god. They are, when they return to their homeland, which is an area of South Africa called Timbavati, when they return there, and this is where Linda has her pride of white lions, that the earth can be healed. It's a bit like the Native Americans and the white buffalo.
Well, that's what I was going to, yes.
Yes, I mean, they believe that they are totally sacred, and there's just something. They are just these star beings. And when I was recently out in South Africa, I met 4 new white lions who were sort of semi-captive. And the thing is that they have to be protected because the poaching is so bad. But Mandla, this big male lion I was talking about, asked me to reconnect them to their star heritage because they had kind of lost sight of it in their captivity. And met this new male lion who was called Eddie, but now wants to be called Aslan. And just the connection with them and how that has... how they've changed and how the messages keep coming from them, and it's just again such a huge blessing and a privilege to be part of that reconnection with them, because once we reconnected and reminded them of their star heritage and their connections, Eddie was walking along the fence, and it was like he was just glowing all this golden light. It was just amazing. Just stood there with my mouth open going, oh my god. So there's just, and of course, talking about Egypt, another hot spot where it's such a thin veil, isn't it? I love Hathor.
with my natural eyes, I was standing in the temple, and it was like the heat haze.
Yeah.
And I said to one of the girls, how do I explain what I'm seeing? And
Mm.
she said, the matrix glitch. And I thought, that's perfect,
Yeah.
because you can actually see it with your normal eyes.
Absolutely. Well, of course, I connected with Sekhmet, but Sekhmet just changed my life as well. She just turned my whole life upside down, which is what she does. She creates chaos, well, order through chaos, doesn't she? But the very first night I was there, I kept getting this voice in my head saying, Hathor will help you, Hathor will help you. I thought, who the hell's Hathor? Who's this Hathor? Because I only knew her as Hathor, you see, but of course the Egyptians call her Hathor.
Hathor.
So the next morning we went, there's a little temple you probably went to called Dar el Medina, which is a little Hathor temple on the left, West Bank, and it's quite small. You go past the village of the artisans, and it's just kind of behind that. And in that temple, I've had the most mind-blowing experiences. Really, out-of-planetary stuff going on there, and she's just so loving and joyful and gentle, isn't she? I love her energy. Hathor's beautiful.
Yes.
Sekhmet's a different kettle of fish, but I love her too. It kind of feels like she's my mother, really. I always burst into tears when I go to Karnak and see her statue. It's like, oh, so again, but that's another place where, my God, your head just gets lifted off, doesn't it?
Sekhmet, I had the most amazing experience. So what they did was, I suppose you did the same. We had private access at Karnak to see Sekhmet. We all had our turn going in.
Yeah.
And we were told what we could say, and that we had to not show our back to Sekhmet, had to back out of there.
Yes.
And when I asked, I've been very fortunate. Spirit looks after me quite well, and I donate my time and travel to different places and do workshops and speak. And I was there, and yes, I asked things for myself, and then all of a sudden there was like this heat wave in front. You could see the vibration, and the eyes was open and then closed, and it was goosebump. Like, I've never had so many God bumps. And then I asked for humanity in gentle ways. And I don't idolise anybody. I admire people's knowledge and I respect people. But I'd have to say, Sekhmet put me to my knees. And I felt so blessed to be in front of Sekhmet, and I will never forget that experience ever again. No, it was beautiful.
No. Something just so incredibly amazing about her energy. She's so powerful, and and I think she just reconnects us to our lion being. I mean, I think as it was in Leo, and just looking at you, I think you've got this incredible connection to the lion beings, to Sirius and whatever, so she just kind of hot wires you back to that connection, I think.
And thank goodness. I think every now and again we need to have a boot in the backside to connect us back to where we need to be. Absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. But I've got amazing story. I'll try and keep it brief. About I had a midnight kind of visitor through my cat flap in my kitchen, and I would hear the cat flap crash, and I thought, what is my cat doing now? What's he brought in now, kind of thing, because he's a real hunter. And then I realised my cat was asleep on my bed, and I thought, what's that coming in? And so I kind of got out of bed and rushed down the corridor, because I live in a kind of single-story house. And whatever was in there had kind of disappeared out through the cat flap. So I didn't see it, but I saw all these huge damp footprints all over the kitchen floor. And I thought, that must be a big cat. What on earth is this coming in? So I thought, oh, I'm so tired, I'm just going to go back to bed. So I went back to bed, and an hour later, heard the crash of the cat flap again, dashed down there again, and just saw, as I got in there, saw this grey, kind of stripy, fluffy backside shoot out through the cat flap. And the only thing I could think of was it was a badger, because what else could it be in England? So anyway, this happened 2 or 3 nights running, and I started putting food out for him. I thought it's very unusual, because they're usually very shy, so I started putting all this food out for him. And then on the national news, they reported that a raccoon had been caught in my room. And so my son said to me, "You sure it's a badger, not a raccoon?" I said, "Well, we don't have raccoons in England." Anyway, my neighbours apparently had some problems with him rolling around their flower pots, so they called the local badger rescue. So they set a trap, only to find they had captured a raccoon, a large raccoon. And obviously in North America, that would be very normal to have raccoons coming in your house, but not in England. So
not in Australia either.
Yeah, well, I kind of finally got around to asking him why had he come. It was almost like, finally she gets around to talking to me. And he started to download all these amazing messages of kind of quantum physics, astro, you know, all kinds of stuff. And some of the things I never heard of, I never even knew how to spell them. But he would wake me up about 4 o'clock every morning, and I'd be writing all this stuff down. And he started talking about a very high frequency that was connected to sacred geometry and cetacean sound, and started talking about orgone energy, and I didn't know what that was. I heard of orgonite, but not orgone. And everything he told me started to, if I researched it, I understood what he was saying to me.
Yes.
And but then eventually I found from him that actually it was a future aspect of myself coming from the Pleiades, and the only way that
Pleiades.
Yeah, exactly. So it was only through an animal, because they knew, like, finally I would kind of start communicating with animal, but it was the way for them to come into my consciousness again, to teach me about healing from the future. And so I understood that this animal, it was kind of like my future self, was I walk into this animal. So even if you try to talk about people, say to people, well, I've had a raccoon in my kitchen, they look at you strangely enough already. When you start to say, well, it was a walk-in from my future self, they go, okay, again. Where are the men in the white coats? They're forming a queue outside the house. But I've just been given the most incredible information. So all this is in a new book, all this crazy stuff. But one of the things he said to me was, you have to go to the solar plexus chakra of the world. And I started to get all this pain in my gut. And when I researched it, and I think people have different views of which chakras are in which kind of location of the planet. But
you're coming to Australia.
Well, exactly. So when I Googled it, it said it was at Uluru. And ironically, no such thing as coincidence, I was booked to go to us. I was speaking at a conference in Wellington, in New Zealand. And whilst I was out your way, I thought, right, I'll spend some time in Australia. And I really want to go to Uluru. So we were all booked to go there. So that was in about 2 or 3 weeks' time after this message. So when I got to Uluru, had the most amazing experience there. And this being came through and directed me to work with huge etheric crystals to kind of implant into Uluru, and then Atafuya, I don't know how you pronounce it, the Olgas, and then also Mount Connor, because we were on our way to Kings Canyon, and I just saw this huge outcrop of rock and thought, gotta go there. So just amazing to spend time, and I just had the most incredible experiences there, and just loved it and loved Australia. Just fantastic. So I'd love to come back sometime. But it's a synchronicity, isn't it?
You come back and you go to Uluru or anywhere else, I'm coming with you.
Yes, great stuff. Okay, you're on.
Good. I'll come with you. There's something that I wanted to ask you, though. Now, I said before at the beginning that I'm a bird person, okay?
Yeah.
So I always have messages with birds. So here it's my good messages and good omens is a kookaburra.
Yes.
And my bad ones, I really have a close connection to crows and ravens. They tell me that a warning's coming. I've always, even since I was a little girl. But before somebody passes away, and this is a little bit controversial, but it's my question, so I just thought I'd ask you, just for help. A couple of weeks before my mum passed away, I was driving down to the shack and I hit a hawk and killed it. And then at different other times in my life, when there's been a dead bird, somebody passes away. My house I live in a unit. For the past 3 years, I've been here for 14 months now, but my unit in the last 3 weeks has had so many bird hits front and back. None of the birds have passed away, so it's not a death. I know that. Because that's just the way that it's rolled for me. But the birds have been hitting my window, my bedroom window, the front door, and it's like they're hitting either side of it, and I've never done that before. What's the message in that?
Well, what was coming through to me was that they're really kind of, the right words, it's kind of, you know how to say what it is, but it's trying to find the right way to verbalize it. It feels like they're really trying to upgrade you. They're really, it's almost like an etheric kicking you in the backside. It's like,
I am open.
They're kind of bombarding you, saying,
yes.
You can, if you're open to it, and I know you are completely open, just said so, just listen to us. We're going to upgrade you even more.
Yes.
And, I love actually seeing ravens or crows, because to me, there's always some kind of magic.
Oh, it is, yes.
But again, you know, if it's a signal that someone's going to pass over, but it's kind of like they're paving the way. I think hitting that hawk was almost like that hawk had kind of chosen to be the kind of way shower for your mother.
Yeah.
You know that, didn't we tell you that? But with them, you know, banging into it's almost like it's saying, be ready, you know, get ready, because things are going to upgrade and lift off even more. But also maybe it might be, I'm sure you would have felt into the energies of your place, but it might be that maybe you could do a little bit more clearing there. They might also be flagging that up, saying something about the land that it's built on. I don't know whether you know much about the history of that particular area where you are, but it's something about,
I don't actually.
There's something about, maybe there's some healing needs to be done there. Maybe it's some indigenous land near you or something to connect with that. That's what they're kind of saying to me. It's that they're kind of just kicking you a little bit, just saying, can you look into that? Maybe be more aware and see whether you can find something that needs some healing there. Not in a negative way, just some healing, just some. You know, it just needs something either where your unit's built on needs some loving energy, needs some.
I'll take that on board.
Yeah, it's like it needs to feel love again. There's like maybe something happened there, so it doesn't feel like it's a horrible energy or anything negative at all. No. It just needs something that can just send some love and maybe download some loving energy into it.
Thank you.
They're really saying get ready, because there's going to, and I'd love to hear, you know, what happens, because they're kind of saying, come on, there's something exciting, something even more magical is going to sort of start coming in, and you're going to be working on even more amazing levels. So I'm excited about that.
Madeleine, my life has been so blessed. I have just had one miracle after another, and just the way that it's gone is, I am just, you know, I just trust spirit completely.
Yeah.
We've slowly running out of time, and I would like. I know, but first I want to ask you, before we get to the end part, the whales. Like, you've got many whale CDs. I haven't heard yours. I apologise. But I love the sounds of whales, and I've listened to the whale sounds, and I personally haven't yet, and I'll say yet, picked up on what they're saying. Mm-hmm. That would be so bloody awesome for you to be able to know what the whales are saying. I think that's just such a blessing.
It is. It's completely overwhelming. It's so emotional, and yes. You know, about horses looking into your souls. When you get eyeballed by a whale, I mean, it's almost indescribable. But their main message is about love. I met an amazing mother whale of the Dominican Republic, and she said that I could call her Gina, and she was saying that they imbue every molecule in the ocean with their love, and as the oceans reach the shore, that love is kind of downloaded into the shore, and this is despite all the whaling and all the destruction that we've done. And she said that she kind of views humans as slightly delinquent teenagers, that they're kind of trying to get us back on track, you know. And then hopefully. And I swam with this sperm whale calf, and he was talking, because they don't sing as such, they have this kind of encoded clicker language. And he told me that it was connected to an ancient Atlantean Lemurian clicking language, and that I had to go and meet the Bushmen of the Kalahari to record their speech, their ancient tongue, because they still have this click in their language. So I did eventually go to the Kalahari and meet an amazing shaman there. And when I recorded his click and played it against the clicks of the sperm whales, it was exactly the same kind of resonance. So they're really talking about love. That's their main kind of message. It's about really coming from a place of love instead of fear. So in a nutshell, that's really what the whales are saying. But I was in Tonga the year before last, and that was the first time I really felt there a little bit of despair creeping in about humans. And so we did more healing with them than before, rather than just going in and having a lovely swim and feeling their love. It was like we had to really send them lots of healing and kind of restoring them, because they were getting a lot of harassment from people that were just going and chasing them and chasing their calves, and it was really upsetting me. But again, it's about re-empowerment. It's about reconnecting, interspecies unification. That's the biggest, I think, message from all these animals, but especially the whales. And the cosmic whales are really holding the matrix of the planet. And they told me that every time a whale blows, their kind of divine breath goes to strengthen the Earth matrix, like this golden grid around the planet. So that's, yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's really what they're telling us.
Aren't they beautiful? I mean, I'm in awe that you can understand them, and it just, I've had, like I said, dolphin experiences, but never a whale experience, and that might be on my bucket list. So
well, if you go to Harvey Bay has now got a license for people to go and swim with them now. Obviously, there's a lot of whale watching on Harvey Bay, but they've now got a license to swim. So if you feel like getting in the water with them, get up to Harvey Bay and
have a look. Well, I only lived a couple of hours down the road for 3 or 4 years, and I never did that. Now I'm in Tasmania, which is at the bottom of Australia.
It's a bit of a trek back up.
I can get there though. That's on my bucket list. Madeleine, where can people contact you? What have you got coming up? And can you give me some website details and about your book that's coming out and your cards and where people can access you and your information?
Okay, well, they can contact me on my website, which is madelinewalker.co.uk, and they'll find all the details about my CDs, my books, and I've got the cards coming out, and there's all the messages from Gina and all the different whales, and they're called Earthkeeper cards. So there's messages, there's kind of planetary healing messages and personal healing messages, so we can all become Earthkeepers and Earth Guardians, guided by these incredible beings of the whales and the dragons. So Gina's got it. We've got a Gina card there, and they'll be out, as I said, probably around the 21st of March. So you can order them on my website. They will be on Amazon, and so my email's on there. So and Unity's coming out. It's going to be launched on World Earth Day kind of thing on the 22nd of April. So it's I've got some amazing photographs of all these incredible beings being put in it now to bring it all together. So yeah, so madelinewalker.co.uk is where you can find me, and it's got my email address, and you want to have a chat about things, got my Skype address on there as well. So I do a lot of readings for people, animals that they have with them now, and animals in spirit. They want to find out if they've had past lives together and if they're going to come back again. So yeah, so it's my great pleasure to be of service, really.
That's your forte, and I'm so in awe of your talent and in awe of your knowledge and experience, and to have somebody, and I'd like to thank you, to have you out there and, you know, monitoring and looking after the animals that you do for the planet, and co-creating with spirit to try and get our planet up to the unconditional love, 5-dimensional people, you know, aware of things. You know, Madeleine, just hats off to you. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, we are all working doing our bit, and it's just lovely that we've got different strengths that we can share and inspire other people. You know, what you do inspires me, so you know, it's we're all doing our bit, I think.
Yeah, I should have asked you while I had you was pull a card for me, just to have a look at what whale or dragon card that you would have picked. I should have asked you that.
Well, I don't have them physically with me, but if I tune in, I'm just going to ask now. He's going to come through. Oh, okay. I've got Gratz is coming in. I think he's as I talked about, he's the aura cleanser, but also Ratu. Ratu came to me in South Africa, and he's the quencher of the land. So he's coming to again bring balance to the rainfall in Australia. It's about helping the nature realms of Australia. So I feel that Ratu wants to come and help you.
Thank you, Ratu. And that's perfect. Madeleine, thank you very much for talking to me. And we'll have to do this again another time.
Oh, we've got so much to talk about.
Haven't we?
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome.